What's up everyone, it's Mr. Lang, and in this video we're going to continue converting quadratic functions into the vertex form that we like so much. I'm going to start with one review problem with the kinds we did in class, and then we're going to move to the more advanced kind. So all you need is pencil and paper and you're ready to go. So let's get started. Alright, so let's do a review one. We're going to convert this quadratic function, which is in general form, into the vertex form by completing the square. And this is just like what we did in class. What we're going to do is rewrite this. And you notice that the a is 1. There's no number in front of the x squared, so we know it's 1. So we can go right to the completing the square process, which is what we put x squared minus 8x, and then we're going to add whatever we would need here to make this a perfect square trinomial, and then we've got the minus 100 there. But since we're adding something to balance this out, we have to subtract that same number back from it. So remember how we do this. We look at the b value here. It's a negative 8. Negative 8 divided by 2 gives me negative 4, and then we square that negative 4 and we get 16. So we're going to add a 16 here, but to keep this even, to make it still the same thing, we've got to subtract that 16 at the end. So we've added 16 and we've subtracted 16. So now we're going to break this down into its factored form. So this would be, we know it's minus 4, so it would be x minus 4 quantity squared. Minus 100 minus 16 would be negative 116. So there is our completing the square, putting this in vertex form. We know this is a parabola with a center at the coordinates 4, negative 116, and we're good to go. Alright, so what we're going to do next is look at examples that have an a that is not 1. Same process, just a little bit extra added to it. Alright, so we're going to be converting to vertex form when a is not equal to 1. And you can see in this example number 1, we've got y is equal to 3x squared. So now we got a 3 there, plus 18x minus 10. So what I want to do is rewrite this, but I want to factor out, just looking at these first two terms. Forget the minus 10 for a second. Let's just look at these two terms. And specifically I want to look at the coefficients 3 and 18. And I want to see if there's a common factor between 3 and 18. And it is 3. 3 obviously goes into 3, but 3 goes into 18 6 times. So what I'm going to do is factor out that 3, which would leave me with x squared plus 6x in parentheses, and then we would have this minus 10 on the outside. So what we want to do here is, just with the x squared plus 6x, we want to complete that square similar to what we were doing before. So I'm going to do y is equal to 3. It's going to be x squared plus 6x plus blank, and then we've got the minus 10, and since we added blank we have to subtract. But here's the catch. See this blank here, it's sitting in the parentheses, it's getting multiplied by 3. So we have to do the same thing here. We have to multiply 3 times the blank here to make this even, because this one's getting multiplied by 3, this one's better be 2. But we complete the square the same way. We take half of 6, which is 3. 3 squared would give you 9. So I'm going to multiply, or I'm sorry, add 9 there. Well, since I added 9 there, I need to do the subtraction here and put it there. So what ends up happening here is that we get 3. In factored form, this would be x plus 3 squared. And then we've got the minus 10, and then we've got minus 3 times 9 is 27. So finally, one last step here to get our final answer. It's 3 times the quantity x plus 3 squared. Minus 10 minus 27 would be minus 37. And that is it. All right, let's do another example. Number 2, it's y is equal to 4x squared minus 32x minus 50. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to look at just these first two terms and factor out the greatest common coefficient here. Well, that would be 4. 4 goes into 32, or negative 32 8 times. So we would be left with a 4 on the outside, then x squared minus 8x. And then we have the minus 50 out here. Okay, we're going to do the completing the square part. So we're going to do x squared minus 8x plus blank. And then we've got the minus 50 out here. And then we added blank, so we have to subtract. This time it's 4 times the blank. Well, we're going to take negative 8, divide it by 2. That's negative 4. Negative 4 squared gives us 16. So we've got to do the 16 here as well. All right. We're getting there. So this is 4. Half of negative 8 is negative 4. So this would be x minus 4 quantity squared in factored form. And then we've got the minus 50. And then 4 times 16 is 64, so this would be minus 64. And one last step, y is equal to 4 times the quantity x minus 4 squared. Minus 50 minus 64 would be minus 114. So we're getting kind of some crazy parabolas that are shifted way over. So this would have a vertex of positive 4 and then negative 114. So it's way down there, but that's okay. And one last example, let's do one more where we actually have a negative. So for number 3, we've got y is equal to negative 5x squared plus 20x plus 7. So this is a case where we're going to factor out, for these first two here, a negative common factor, and that would be negative 5. So I'm going to pull out the negative 5, which leaves me with x squared, and then negative 5 times negative 4x would give me positive 20x, so negative 5 times the negative. And then we got the plus 7 on the outside. Now we'll complete the square. So we're going to have x squared minus 4x plus blank. Then we've got the plus 7. And then to even it out, we have to have a negative 5. So this is minus a negative 5 times the blank. So we got to be careful here with all these negatives, but we'll be careful. Well, negative 4 divided by 2 would give you negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. So we're going to put a 4 there, and then we're going to have the 4 here. So let's do this. Y is equal to negative 5. In factored form, this perfect square trinomial is x minus 2 squared, because negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. We've got the plus 7 on the outside, and then negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. So 7 minus a negative 20, let me get my red pen here, would be like adding 20. So this would be plus 7 and then plus 20. And so finally, we're going to have y is equal to negative 5 times x minus 2 quantity squared plus 27. And that's it. So this is pretty much the same process. You just have to remember to multiply the second blank when you subtract by whatever you pulled out as a common factor. Cool. All right, so let's get to the SIA questions. Just 3 questions for you here. Convert each quadratic function to vertex form. Do the online quiz and you are good to go. Thanks for listening.